Okay, hear me out. There's a shit ton of different chocolate, and most of the chocolate in your drawer can't even legally call itself chocolate. One type was designed to taste like vomit on purpose, and the most expensive chocolate bar on earth runs $490 and comes with tweezers. Today I'm ranking every single type, from the fake stuff that traumatized an entire generation all the way to a pink bar that might be the biggest scam in food history. Dark chocolate. Let's start with the original. Dark chocolate is the simplest recipe in this video. Cocoa solids, cocoa butter, sugar, no milk. That's it. Its scientific name, Theobroma coca, literally means food of gods. The finest dark chocolate uses only 3 cacao varieties. Criollo, the rarest and most prized. Forastero, the bike workhorse. And Trinitario, the hybrid that combines both. For over 3,000 years, nobody ate chocolate, they only drank it. The Aztecs mixed cacao with chili peppers and sometimes actual human blood, and their emperor, Montezuma, allegedly downed 50 cups a day from golden goblets that he tossed in the trash after a single use. He was sure it made him irresistible to women. I'd say it was the unbelievably big pile of gold, but whatever. When the Spanish conquistador Hernán Cortés tasted this royal brew, he described it as a bitter drink for pigs, and then he stole boatloads of it and shipped every last bean back to Spain. Solid dark chocolate wasn't invented until 1847. The chocolate liquor, that's the ground cacao mass, not alcohol, gets separated into cocoa solids and cocoa butter. In 1879, a guy named Radolphe Lind forgot to turn off his mixing machine over the weekend. Monday morning arrived, the gritty chocolate had turned silky, and that mistake, now called conching, is still the standard process used by every chocolate maker on the planet. After conching, the chocolate goes through tempering, carefully heating and cooling to create the perfect snap. Lind later sold the secret for the equivalent of $300 million in today's money. Quick fact to tell your friends. Back in 1579, English pirates burned an entire ship full of cacao beans because they mistook them for sheep droppings. Milk chocolate. Before we get to the weird ones, the story about milk chocolate is actually my favorite. Milk chocolate is the most popular chocolate on earth. 50% of the entire market, to be precise. The origin story sounds like a badly written sitcom. A Swiss guy named Daniel Peter was a candle maker. Then someone invented the kerosene lamp and destroyed his business. So what did he do? He married a chocolatier's daughter, and his neighbor happened to be Henry Nestle, who just invented powdered baby food. Peter spent 8 years trying to mix milk into chocolate, but the water in milk kept ruining everything. Then he tried Nestle's condensed milk. Most of the water was already removed, and boom, 1875, milk chocolate was born. A failed candle maker married the right woman, befriended a baby food inventor, and accidentally changed the world. And now, here's the part that might ruin Hershey's for you forever. Hershey's chocolate contains butyric acid, the same chemical found in Parmesan cheese and vomit. It's the result of their special milk processing method from the 1930s. Europeans often say American chocolate tastes sour or off, but Americans grew up with it. So now other US chocolate companies actually add butyric acid on purpose to match what American taste buds expect. You've been trained to enjoy vomit chocolate. You're welcome. White chocolate. Okay, let's settle this once and for all. Is white chocolate real chocolate? White chocolate is made from cocoa butter, sugar, milk, and usually lecithin as an emulsifier. But the one thing missing is cocoa solids, the brown part responsible for everything that actually tastes like chocolate. That makes white chocolate the fat of the cacao bean without any of the soul. Calling it chocolate was literally illegal in the United States until 2004 because the FDA classified it as white confectionery coating, and Hershey's had to formally petition the government to change the rules. The funniest part of the entire legal saga is that under certain regulations, white chocolate qualifies as more officially chocolate than a 100% cacao bar because some standards require sugar to be present for a product to earn the chocolate label, which means a pure cacao bar with zero sugar technically fails the test while sugary white chocolate passes it. The law regards sugar over actual chocolate and nobody seems to be bothered by that. Nestle created the first white chocolate in 1936 and even that origin story involves an accident. Their scientists were developing a coating to make a children's vitamin taste better. They added cocoa butter to the formula and what they ended up with was candy. They invented candy while trying to make medicine. Ruby chocolate. A company called Berry Callebaut unveiled a natural pink chocolate in 2017 and announced it as the fourth type of chocolate with no added colors and no berry flavoring at all. The internet absolutely lost it. What marketing never mentioned is that a leaked patent reveals the actual method, which involves barely fermented cacao beans treated with citric acid. Normal fermentation takes 5 to 7 days and produces the flavor that makes chocolate taste like chocolate. But Ruby production skips most of that step entirely. Multiple tasters at the Shanghai launch event reported that it carried almost no recognizable chocolate flavor. The FDA was so unsure what to do with it, they only gave it a temporary 15-month marketing permit instead of full chocolate classification. The company sat on the recipe for 7 years before releasing it, only launching after a marketing study confirmed that millennials would buy it for photos. The first product, a Ruby Kit Kat, launched in Japan. The price, 2 to 3 times a normal bar. Compound chocolate, the imposter. Compound chocolate swaps out cocoa butter, which is the most expensive ingredient, and replaces it with cheap vegetable oil. And that substitution means it cannot legally carry the word chocolate on the package. Professional chocolatiers use something called couverture chocolate. That's real chocolate with higher cocoa butter content specifically designed for coating and dipping. Compound chocolate is basically the opposite. Next time you grab a candy bar, read the wrapper carefully, because if it says chocolatey instead of chocolate, you've been eating the imposter all along. Real chocolate melts right at body temperature, which is why it dissolves the moment it hits your tongue. But compound chocolate uses fats that melt at different temperatures and leaves a waxy, coating-like feeling behind. The primary fat in compound chocolate is palm kernel oil, which happens to be a major driver of rainforest destruction and orangutan habit loss. So the cheapest version of chocolate is also the most environmentally damaging. Gianduja, Nutella's fancy grandpa. Gianduja, pronounced Gianduja, blends chocolate with roughly 30% hazelnut paste into something unbelievably smooth, and the entire thing exists because of Napoleon. 1806 brought Napoleon's trade blockade across Europe, which cut off the coca supply to Turin, Italy, one of the continent's greatest chocolate capitals. Piedmontese chocolatiers stretched their remaining stash by grinding it together with locally grown hazelnuts, and what started as a wartime desperation became one of the most beloved treats in Italian history. World War II triggered another chocolate shortage more than a century later, and that's when an Italian named Pietro Ferrero created a solid Gianduja brick you could slice onto bread. Ferrero accidentally added too much cocoa butter in 1949. The mixture turned spreadable and that mistake became a product called Super Crema. By 1964, Super Crema had a new name, and that name was Nutella. 2 separate wars produced 2 separate chocolate shortages, which led to 2 separate accidents, and the result sits in kitchen cabinets across the entire planet. Carob, the betrayal. If you were a kid in the 1970s or 1980s, this one still stings. Carob comes from a Mediterranean tree, and when you roast and grind the pods, they produce a brown powder that looks a lot like coca. The health food movement latched onto it as a chocolate replacement because it carried no caffeine and less fat, and parents across America swapped it into cookies, brownies, and trail mix without warning their children. Kids bit in expecting chocolate and received something that was absolutely definitely not chocolate. And even its biggest advocates privately snuck out for real chocolate. The final insult was that most Carob products came loaded with added sugar to mask the flavor, which destroyed the entire health argument from the inside. Carob does redeem itself with one fact that slaps. The word carat, as the unit used to weigh diamonds, comes directly from carob seeds, because ancient jewelers used them as standard weight since each seed lands at almost exactly 200 milligrams. Every single diamond on Earth is measured against the seed of the fake chocolate tree. Also, male carob flowers smell like human sweat, and nobody had to exaggerate that because it's a documented scientific observation. Bean to bar. Bean to bar chocolate means a single maker controls the entire journey from raw cacao bean to finished product, handling roasting, cracking, grinding, tempering, and molding all under one roof. Most craft bars contain just two ingredients, cocoa and sugar, and a typical one costs between $7 and $20 for a couple of ounces. The most expensive one is Toac from Ecuador, where $490 buys you a tiny bar packaged inside a handcrafted wooden box, alongside a pair of tweezers designed to keep your finger oils off the chocolates. Cause, of course, we can't have finger oils on $500 of chocolate. So, running all the way from Aztec blood rings to Instagram bait pink bars to a $490 snack you eat with tweezers, the entire history of chocolate is basically one long chain of wars, accidents, scams, and spectacularly lucky breaks. And please don't tell me in the comments that Hershey's is your favorite bar, even though I probably can't judge you.